From claiming that he was robbed of his chance to become the double champ, to wanting the symbolic BMF title as the third belt in his collection after beating Islam, here's how Volkanovski revealed a bigger ending to the Makhachev rematch. After the neck-and-neck match between the two champions, Volk started claiming he was robbed of the win. And it's not only Alex who thinks this way, a lot of other people are also siding with the featherweight champ. You see, Volk failed in his attempt to become the fifth double champ in UFC history, after the Aussie was beaten by Makhachev at UFC 284 via unanimous decision. The featherweight champ appeared on the Impulsive podcast and expressed his disappointment, saying he prepared a lot for the moment, moving up in weight class, challenging himself, and fighting for the lightweight championship. But the way the fight ended caused a major upset. After all, Alex thought he won the bout, but the judges scored the fight against him, leaving him disappointed. You weren't the only one who was surprised though. Volk, we all were. I mean, that was a fight for the ages, and the way he fought that night was incredible. No one would have thought that he'd lose the fight. It was a shocking decision for many fans and other fighters as well. But even with the crowd weighing heavily on Volk's side of the decision, the judges didn't doubt for once that Makhachev was the winner. Two of the judges scored 2 rounds in favor of Volk, while the other one only gave him 1 round. I mean, that's disappointing to say the least. But Alex doesn't feel like it's over yet. In fact, he's confident he'll get the rematch soon. Seeing Volk as confident as he is right now feels so good. But before the rematch, he has to go through Yair Rodriguez. Yep, the featherweight champ is looking to unify his belt with the interim champ at UFC 290 on July 8th, 2023. Confident that if he gets past Rodriguez, a rematch against the lightweight champ can't be denied. And if he gets it, Volkanovski has no plans to leave the octagon until he's declared the definite winner. On the Impulsive podcast, the Aussie said he's gonna do the rematch anyway, and that getting it is easy for him. The great said that as disappointed as he was after that loss, he learned to move on with a never-give-up attitude. Alex mentioned that he won't stop until he becomes a double champ, but he still has higher plans after that. According to him, there's a larger plot at hand, and he thinks that there's an even bigger ending to his story with Makhachev. Does that mean we're gonna see 2 more fights between the two? I'm in. I mean, who wouldn't want to see these two beasts take each other on again? The more the better for the fans. And that's not all, because the Great also has a timeline for the rematch. According to him, the bout could take place in late 2023. Now that's gonna be massive if it happens, but even Alexander isn't sure if it's possible within the year. He said on his YouTube channel that the UFC asked him if he wanted to take some time after his loss at UFC 284, but Volk said he'd never do that, and there's no way that he could stay inactive in the promotion for that long. The featherweight champ said he wanted the rematch really badly, but he knew it wasn't gonna happen anytime soon, so there was no point in waiting around. The only thing on his mind was to continue fighting in the featherweight division and think about the rematch when it's officially announced, cause Volk really doesn't want to give up on going against the Dagesani once again this year, even though the chances of it happening are very small. So, making a return to featherweight was his only option at the time, and now that he's in his sights, Islam isn't going anywhere, so whenever it happens, Volk will be ready. After all, Volk taking up the title unification fight is proof he's keeping his word about staying active in the UFC. I mean, the guy can't stop looking beyond his next fight because he's already dreaming of winning the Islam rematch. In fact, he's so confident that the Aussie said he's gonna keep both divisions busy when he's the lightweight champ. He even mentioned that people are questioning how he'll pull it off, but apparently he has a plan for it already.
When I tell you to stop, you stop. If you want to touch gloves, now's the time. God bless. The tension, the buzz, both palpable. This is one of those sporting...
I mean, I can't wait to find out what it is, because not many double champs have been able to maintain their status for too long. On the other hand, everyone wants the Makhachev and Volkanovski rematch to happen, but what about the UFC CEO? Well, Dana is all up for a rematch, but unfortunately for Alex, he doesn't see it happening this year. White said when the UFC plans a mega event like this, everyone wants it to be exciting, and the fight was as exciting as it gets. The CEO was even happy with the result, saying the result couldn't get any better than this, because everyone was wondering who won and who didn't, and that's the kind of hype the UFC's always looking for. But before Alex can shoot for the lightweight title again, Dana pulled the brakes on him, saying that he'll only think about the rematch if Alex comes out the winner against Yair. On the other hand, there's Makhachev, and he's kinda known for not looking back after beating someone, but with Oliveira back on the rise, he may have to think about DeBronx before even considering facing the Aussie again. There's no official confirmation from the UFC regarding the two champions going head-to-head again, but if the time timeline is in favor of them fighting once again. I can say one thing for sure though, that they're ready to take each other on, cause they were seen talking to each other after their intense 5-round clash, immediately agreeing to meet in the octagon once again. And according to the conversation, the pair already have a venue in mind, planning to fight again in Abu Dhabi. In a video the Great uploaded to his YouTube channel, the two can be heard having a friendly chat, and heck, they even took some pictures during their conversation too. All of a sudden, Volk asked the Russian if he wanted to go at it again, to which the Russian replied, "Why not?" Both fighters' teams were also present at that moment, and they seemed to have no problem with that whatsoever. Alexander was actually the one who suggested Abu Dhabi, and Makhachev thought it'd be a worthy place for their battle.
Short but strong. Yes, what can you?
Should we do it again? Should we good? Maybe Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
We deserve one in Abu Dhabi.
With both fighters on the same page, the only thing that remains is what Dana White thinks. And with their confusing career paths and future fights, the UFC CEO is going to have a hard time picking a date for the rematch. You see, the promotion wants to keep Makhachev on ice until October, because that's when he's expected to headline the UFC 294 card in Abu Dhabi. But the thing is, Oliveira's win in his match against Beneil Dariush made him the #1 contender to challenge Islam, so he's technically the first in line to get a title shot. Who will Makhachev face first between Oliveira and Volk? Nobody knows. But one thing is for sure is that the Dagestani is going to be there, and he'll defend his title either way. Only time will tell whether Alexander gets his dream matchup against Makhachev, or will he have to stand in line behind Dubronx. But the Great is having none of it, because his plans are growing bigger with each passing day, it seems. Heck, the guy even said he wants to win a 3rd belt after beating Islam. What's crazy is that he isn't talking about a UFC championship belt. Instead, he has his sights set on the BMF belt. Apparently, Volk said he wants to prove he's the ruler of badasses. According to him, BMFs are the guys who don't care whether they're injured or not. The only thing they care about is being consistent in the competition. It looks like Alex wants to create a legacy of his own in the UFC, and to do that, he'll need a 3rd belt as well. I mean, no one has ever held 3 belts at once in the UFC, so that ought to cement his name among the greats. But that's a bit of a stretch, since Gaethje versus Poirier will have to settle their BMF winner first. And since the title only gets passed around like the other belts, his dream isn't very likely to happen. On the rare occasion the stars do align in favor of Volk, though, he could very well make UFC history. So there you have it. From wanting the symbolic baddest motherfucker title as the 3rd belt in his collection after beating Islam, to claiming that he was robbed of his chance to become the double champ, that was how Volk revealed a bigger ending to the Makhachev rematch.
Where the defense is right behind him. Pushing forward, that's nice. Takes the center of the octagon, just out of range. And now you won the round this way. It's ground control, 4 minutes. I mean, nobody's done that. No, that's what I'm saying. Towards the end of the round, you can switch to an armbar. No, Makhachev has gone through everybody and made it look easy. Pure domination, even against Charles Oliveira. Volkanovski has been cut open on the forehead, or so it appears.